Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Hannah Johns podcast, where we bring people closer to the sport that they love. I'm Hannah Johns, and here with me today, I have professional pickleball player Thomas Wilson. Thomas, welcome.
How's it going? It's been a while.
I know it has, but I'm glad we got a hold of you. I want to do a little quick intro because this is fun.
Yes.
You have a career high ranking of number 2 in the world in mixed doubles, as well as top 10 in men's doubles. You've got 3 coveted PPA titles to your name, 1 in men's doubles and 2 in mixed doubles. You also have a total of 15 medals over the course of your career. You've logged wins over Ben Johns, Anna Bright, many of the tour's top players. It's been an incredible career for you. And I know that's been a fun period of your life, but we haven't had the privilege of having you on tour for some time now. And that's why we have you on here. We want to give people an update on what's going on in your life.
Well, you just made me sound really good. And I was like, oh, I beat Ben once out of 17,000 times. What a blessing. I think he had an eye patch on him too. So
Stop. You didn't. It was fair and square. Well, but Thomas, I know you're a family man. You're a private man. You don't really share a lot on social media or with the public. So I'm privileged to have you here to share more about what's going on. Yeah. I'd love for you to catch us up on the situation with your health.
Yeah. Oh man, it's definitely been it's a blur. It's actually crazy that it's been since last June that I haven't played a tournament. Last May or June, obviously the start of the year was great. Was doing better and better in tournaments. I just quit my job in April. I was in software sales for a long time. I was doing both pickleball and working, which was great, but I got to the point where I just couldn't do that anymore, and pickleball was just growing so much. So I chose to go full-time pickleball end of Q1 in 2024, and shortly after, a couple months later, I started having issues breathing. It started off very minor. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, oh, maybe I have like a little bug, or, maybe I stayed in some sketchy Airbnb that had mold in it. I don't know, but I wasn't worried about it. And, I was still able to play several more tournaments, and it just kind of kept progressing. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I don't know if it's asthma related. I don't have asthma, but I'm like, what is happening? Couldn't figure it out. And then I started having like muscle weakness and muscle twitching that started as well. And so I was like, something is attacking my body, or I have some weird virus. I don't know what's going on. Got to the point where I couldn't even practice. I couldn't, like, even warming up for pickleball, like my lungs would just be gassed almost immediately. So that was like a 6 to 8 week period. And then I was like, okay, something's definitely wrong. I went to urgent care, actually at the Sacramento tournament, when it was like 100 something degrees, but it had been progressing before that anyway. So I go to urgent care. They're like, yeah, something's really off. You need to go see some real doctors back in Texas. So I start that process. Gets bad enough to where I'm admitted to the hospital. I can't even like walk down the hallway. Even sitting, like, it's not like it's just when I exert myself physically. It's just even sitting, like right now, I can't get a full breath. Like I haven't been able to yawn since last June. Like I can't. When you want that deep, satisfying breath, I can't get that, like, to this day. So even talking a lot, like right now, I'm a little winded, but, so that happened. I'm in the hospital, and they're thinking that I have like some serious neuromuscular disease, like ALS, or, I mean, obviously several other things were thrown around, but it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I was still getting worse, even in the hospital. Like, putting oxygen on me didn't help. CPAPs don't help. Inhalers don't help. Nothing alleviates the symptoms, which is the super scary part. You're like in the best hospital possible, and nothing even takes the edge off. So I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. So we were to the point where we're talking about the will and end of life stuff. It got bad. And I definitely repress those feelings. So it's like a little hard to talk about, obviously, but just thinking about my daughter and our ex-daughter that we're in the process of adopting. I couldn't even like look at her every day. I was just like, I can't. So anyway, that was like the lowest of lows, and I ended up kind of stabilizing a little bit to where it like stopped getting worse. So we're like, okay, because I thought I was just gonna like end up just not being able to breathe at all whatsoever. So it just felt like I was slowly suffocating. We get transferred from Methodist in San Antonio to Mayo Clinic because they couldn't figure it out. And I was at Mayo Clinic for about a month. They do every test possible. They're like, something's definitely very wrong. We just have no idea what it is. I see every department from autoimmune to pulmonology to my heart, because obviously I had heart issues in the past. So I'm sure that's what everyone thought, like, oh yeah, it's heart issues again, but my heart's perfectly fine. I've gotten that tested every way possible. So that's one good thing. My heart is fine.
Yeah, I remember you going through that surgery when you had issues the year before
Yeah,
that, right? And so they thought it was that this was going to be a part of that same issue,
right.
but it turns out it's not at all. It's something entirely
Completely
different.
unrelated. Yeah. Which is,
Wow.
I guess, good and bad because we still don't really know what it is. But go to Mayo Clinic for a while and leave there with no answers. So I'm like, wow, it took 4 months to get in there. It's very hard. Like, they have to accept your case. You have to present your case, and very few get selected. So thankfully ours did. My wife is a nurse practitioner, so she helped navigate that world. Thankfully, I would have had no idea how to do that. So she got me in there. Even though they didn't give us answers, but it's like, you think, when you show up at Mayo Clinic, like, oh my gosh, we're going to finally figure out what it is. They always find the rare stuff.
Sure.
Didn't happen. Then we go to National Jewish Health, which is the #1 respiratory place in the U.S., even a little bit better than Mayo. That's in Denver, which I've been going there at least once a month for treatment. And I released this a while ago. Like, they thought it was breathing pattern disorder, which is true because whatever's happening systemically is causing breathing pattern issues, but that's a pretty general and broad diagnosis, and turns out that's not what it is, because I've been doing the treatment and nothing's changed really. And with my other symptoms, those don't go along with breathing pattern disorder. So the latest is we're treating it and thinking it might be an autoimmune issue, because I had pre-existing like Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. And so when you have autoimmune, a lot of times you're susceptible to getting something else. So we're like, well, maybe my body's just attacking the heck out of itself and causing, severe inflammation that's affecting, my lungs, my muscles, kind of everything. And this is the most recent thing. A month ago, I started taking hydroxychloroquine just to hopefully, maybe this is my body is attacking itself. Because the problem is when they look at the markers in my blood, it doesn't match up perfectly to like lupus or scleroderma or some of the classic like mixed connective tissue disease. So nothing matches perfectly with those. So like, well, we can't diagnose you that it is for sure autoimmune, but some things show that it could be that. And I'm just like, look, ChatGPT and my wife both say to give me hydroxychloroquine. So I'm going to need that because, it's been however long, and this is like a month ago, and I haven't even had medicine. Like, no doctor is willing to even try medicine or anything because they're like, we don't know. And we're too scared to, try something, which I get. But I'm like, what if I'm this desperate and this low and we're not sure if I'm going to make it? Like, give me something. I mean, give me something.
Yeah, throw it all at
Yeah,
the
I don't
wall at
care.
this
Give me
point.
anything. Just inject me with everything you got and see if it sticks. I don't care. So I started that about a month ago. So we're trying to wait to see. It takes a couple months to slowly like help regulate your immune system. And I mean, I'm definitely feeling better than I was, when I described middle to the end of last year. It was kind of like going all the way down, and I've come back up a decent amount. I mean, I still can't train or play pickleball. I might try to, go for walks and do things like that. And, I can kind of get through the day. But I'm definitely not as bad as I was, but then I'm kind of plateaued. So we're just wondering, was that like a big immune attack, like immune response that just got really bad, and that it's just taking time to recover? And then we just haven't, obviously, we haven't even tried medicine until now. So maybe that, and then I'm also seeing a naturopathic doctor out of Utah that deals with like peptides and stem cells and stuff. So I'm starting that protocol. Like,
Can't
I know,
hurt.
right? Like 2 days ago. So I'm taking like, I don't know, like I have to inject myself like 5 or 6 times a day with different peptides and stem cells and umbilical cord plasma, just to try to like detox my body and just reset my nervous system. Cause a lot of things are just kind of off. So one thing they said is it seems like your immune or your nervous system has been stuck in fight or flight for a long period of time. And sometimes if it's stuck in that pattern for years, things just get jacked up out of nowhere. And the fact that I don't have any of the severe things that they were initially thinking, obviously that's like a huge sigh of relief. I was going to say breath of
Yeah.
fresh air, but I don't really know what that feels like.
Oh God,
Too
Thomas.
soon.
You're the only one that should be
I
able to
know,
laugh at
yeah.
that,
Laughing
not
with a
me.
tear coming down my face.
Oh, you have such a good attitude about it all. It's incredible, and autoimmune is still something that we know so little about. All of that,
Yeah,
all of the autoimmune diseases are just a
it
mystery, and some
is.
of it's so tied up in the psychological. And there's just so many. Oh God, it's one of the most just just destructive things to get
Yeah,
because you feel so helpless. And then obviously this is somewhat out from left field, but a lot of people on social media, when you describe your symptoms, are yelling COVID, is it
yeah,
COVID, because the shortness of breath thing. And obviously it's much beyond that,
right.
but it's interesting that everyone wants to
I
diagnose
know,
out there and help.
which I actually appreciate. A lot of people are like, I'm sure you're tired of people like messaging you and like saying, oh, could it be this, could it be that? But
Yeah,
like, I actually welcome it and appreciate it because what if someone out there knows like, oh, hey, I know someone who had this and then they saw this person.
yeah,
Like, it's helpful to have that network and that community that's first of all been so supportive. It's been incredible actually. But then, yeah, like I respond to pretty much anyone I can, and I'm like, oh yeah, thank you, I'll look into it, or it's kind of
yeah,
all hands on deck. But it's not. I was hoping it was like long haul COVID because that's a thing now, and like POTS.
yeah.
It's not that because like a few doctors have been thinking it's that, but I've tried things that should help with that, and it hasn't. So it's not that. And when this all started, I didn't even have a sniffle. Like I was just like, I woke up one morning and I can't quite yawn properly. Anyways, carry on. So it wasn't like I was sick or
Sure.
had a virus or anything like that. And they tested me for mold. They tested me
Wow.
for virus, bacteria. They tested me for all that stuff. The only thing that's off is like some
I'm sure.
inflammatory markers in my blood show something, which is like, well, it's probably autoimmune. So, and it's obviously having a full-time job and pickleball while mentally I didn't think I was stressed. Like, who knows if you have like underlying subconscious stress just from doing all that, like never having like a break. But I enjoyed both things. I'm like, I love pickleball and I love software. So I'm like, I have the best life ever. But, maybe just that adrenaline and competing and then working, going back and forth, maybe that was like, just took a toll on my body for doing that for 3 years,
Yeah.
2 or 3, however long before.
It's a lot of stress
Yeah. So I'm like, maybe it could have been
to
that.
carry.
And like I said, the nervous system thing, being stuck in fight or flight, I didn't know that was a thing, but that can affect a lot of things I'm dealing with. So we're just hoping and praying that this is just, an autoimmune thing that got out of whack that we'll be able to control here soon with hydroxychloroquine and or some of these more
Mm.
natural therapies. So, but it is encouraging that I'm better than I was. So I'm definitely I feel like on the right path. But
That's great news.
we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll stay tuned for all the updates, and this is good to just hear where you're at. One of the things that people often don't talk about is the financial load that being ill carries with it. Like how much being sick and needing to receive care can destroy your
Yeah,
lives, because it costs a lot.
it's
So
true.
I'm hopeful that y'all are doing well on that side of things as
Yeah,
well.
that's been challenging too. Um, what do I say about that? I mean, it was a very, very unfortunate time for this to happen because I left my job March 31st
Mm-hmm.
and I basically missed the window to sign up for Cobra by like a matter of days or like a couple weeks. And I thought I had 90 days, but it was 60 days. And so I did not have insurance until January. So
Wow.
that's definitely there. So sweep that one under the rug. I have a huge rug. I have
I
a
know.
huge rug and there's a lot of stuff under it. So let's just keep piling it over there, pretending that it doesn't exist.
Gosh, that is the worst thing in the world, to have to think
Yeah.
about things like that when you're fighting for your life and your family is terrified and you've got little gal at home, your little daughter, and it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, I just can't imagine what that must be like for you.
Yeah. I mean,
But
that obviously is a
good.
major stressor, but then like even stacking that up against what we were dealing with, I was like, I'm not even like worried about that. It's like, let's like live first and like stay alive, and then
Yeah,
I'll worry about finances later. So
absolutely.
it's a crazy whirlwind that I'm living in.
So, with all the time off from the tour, what are you missing most?
It's a good question. I mean, I was gonna say like you don't appreciate it till it's gone, but that's actually not true because I mean, I'm 35 now. Like, when I was 33, 34, the first like couple of years that I was mainly playing, I'm like kind of like pinch me. Is this real life? Like I'm getting to play pickleball and do well, like and kind of provide for my family that way. That's just it's like too good to be true. So I actually didn't take even a day for granted because every day I'm like really like I could be doing so many other things, but this is unbelievable. So that being said, I absolutely do miss it. I mean, just the it's so cliche, but just the people, the friends that you have on tour, the community, the fans
Mm.
who I see them more as like friends than fans because it's like we're all in this thing together, whether you're on the court or in the stands, and everyone just loves pickleball. It's so
Mhm.
fun, no matter what side of it you're on. So yeah, just you definitely miss. I mean, because it got stripped away so quickly, it wasn't like a slow thing where I'm like phasing out. It was
Mm.
just like overnight, I'm gone. So that's been hard because like you're not plugged in anymore, and you feel like you're missing out, which hasn't been the majority of how I feel because I'm just like going through something like this puts life into perspective. You're just like, wow, I'm so thankful for life itself, and my wife, my family, my daughter, all that stuff. So I'm not sitting here like, oh man, I've serious FOMO. I wish I was like ripping a forehand past Ben Johns right now, even though that, like I said, that happened once probably. Um, but yeah, no,
No.
I absolutely miss being on tour. I mean, for such an exciting sport that's growing so much, like I feel like every week that goes by in pickleball, like it's just growing so fast. And you're like, oh, I don't want to miss out. So I'm just hoping and praying that I can get back out there. And too, like I never was able to train like I wanted to because I was working, and I was like, oh, finally I get to quit and
Mhm.
train like a real pro
Yeah.
athlete and like actually go to the gym, which I still haven't done in 19 years. Um, I was so excited just to like give it my all, and I'm like, let's see how well I can do in pickleball. Let's see how high the ceiling is because I didn't know yet, and I was so excited to see where that went. But even though I've been out for I'm coming up on a year up in June, I feel like I am starting to get better, and hopefully this gets under control, so maybe I can start training again sooner than later and get back out there. That's definitely the goal. So still working towards that.
Yeah, it's such a shame because when you left, it was like you were at the top of the sport. I mean, we're talking number two in mixed doubles, right behind Ben Johns at the time, like the best mixed player in the world alongside Vivian David at the time. And it's just like to toss all that away when you had barely begun to show what you could do is extremely
Yeah,
hard.
it's definitely
Um,
tough. But then I was also thankful in a way for the timing because I started to do better pretty quickly at the beginning of the year. Viv and I won a couple tournaments, so I'm glad that happened at least before because if it didn't, it may not have worked out as well. But I'm thankful for even that surge in success right before getting injured, even though I wish it was longer. But and that is one thing
sure.
probably that I miss the most specifically is playing with Viv. I mean, she's like a sister to us, and just finding a doubles partner like that, you just don't ever find.
Mhm.
And it was just so much fun to play on the court with her. Just a like-minded person, positive. It was too good to be true. And so I'm dying to get back out there with her one day. We will see. Viv, wait for me. Don't leave me.
Yeah. Yep. She's still waiting. She'll drop whoever she's with to play with you. I know it
She
as soon as you're
better.
back.
Even if I'm in a wheelchair, Viv, we're
Well,
playing. It was all her
she
anyway. I
would.
mean, come on.
Oh God.
She's an animal.
Well, with all this time off tour, how are you filling it up? I know obviously a lot of it's been devoted to health, uh, but what about work? Are you hitting any pickleballs since you left? What does daily life look like?
Yeah, daily life is just, I mean, it's majority just health stuff. I mean, just so many doctor's visits, treatments, all this stuff, traveling back and forth from Denver. They're
Mm.
a week at a time. So unfortunately, that's still consuming almost everything. I've started to commentate, at the tournament. So that's been nice to be back, at least just on the scene and seeing people again and being as close to the court as I possibly can. So I've been enjoying commentating. I plan to continue that. And yeah, really just seeing where else I can be involved with the tour while I'm out, you know. I mean, I want to be plugged in. I want to be a part of everything. So we've been working closely together just to really just try to figure out what I can do and how I can help. Um, there's a local place called Oakfire Ridge. It's going to be a luxury condo place with 19 pickleball courts. They're 15 minutes down the street, down here in Spring Branch or Bulverde, New Braunfels area. It's all kind of together between Austin and San Antonio. For those of you who don't know, it's going to be an unbelievable place. So we're partnering with them. We'll be involved in certain aspects, but it's going to be like a pickleball paradise, and there's going to be like a spa on site. There's going to be a bunch of biohacking stuff. It's going to be like this little private bubble for people to live with the nicest pickleball courts you've ever seen and all the 5-star amenities. So we're like, wow, it's in our backyard. Can we be involved? So yeah, it's called Oakfire Ridge.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Very cool. Yeah, you mentioned the commentating at the tournaments, and we've wanted you to get out there as much as possible. People miss your voice, miss your play, and you're a great analyst as well. So getting you back in the booth has been awesome. Have you been able to reconnect with the community, see your boys on tour and so on? While
Yeah,
you're out
a little
there?
bit. Yeah, it was the first tournament I showed up to was Tucson in Arizona, and that was like it feels like, or it felt like my first day at school, like, you know, freshman year of high school. I'm like, is anyone going to talk to me? I don't know. But no, all the pros were so welcoming, and they were just like, I mean, they were like dead serious, which is cool because they were like, "Are you okay? Like, how are you? Are you,
Yeah.
are you still in the hospital?" So it was nice, and everyone was so welcoming and thoughtful, which is cool. But yeah, it's been nice to be at least someone involved again, and hopefully that continues to keep growing.
Yeah. And besides all the other support that you've had from people around you, your family obviously is really close, which is awesome, but you're also a faith-based family. I know how important it is to you and your wife, Brittany, how much your belief has sustained you guys. What's that been like over the past few years?
Yeah, it's been I would say a journey. I mean, you never know where your life is going to end up or what the next chapter is, or for us, like where God is leading us. And obviously some hurdles have been thrown in. So we're paying attention to like, hey, what does this mean? Like, what is this going to end up being used for? Is this a course correction? Is this to, draw us even closer to him? So we're definitely searching and just continuing to rely on him, because it's like, when I got to the lowest of lows, like every breath, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have another one. And to be in that state, you have to feel so helpless and have no reliance or power on your own and like by yourself is the craziest feeling in the world, unless I know other people have experienced similar things. But yeah, it just, like I kind of mentioned earlier, just put your life in a different perspective and makes you just think big picture. And so, I mean, I know my life is in God's hands, and the only comfort that I had was knowing that he is ultimately in control of my last breath. And that's the only place that, I can find comfort, because it's true. And you have to throw away all the other doubts and the fear and the anxiety that I'm still wrestling with, so it's a journey, and life is hard for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. I'm not the only one that's going through absolute chaos right now. The family we're adopting from, it's Holyn, same birth parent. So she's going to have a blood sister, which is so cool. We're going to name her Haven, little Holyn and Haven. Yeah.
Haven. Oh, that's
So cute.
adorable.
Their situation is so crazy. Just a lot of drug use, homelessness, domestic violence, just crazy stuff that I've never really been exposed to. So when we go up and visit them, we go back and forth, and just to be exposed to a different world with just unbelievable challenges, not even having a place to lay your head or food to eat. It's absolutely insane. So that, just makes you thankful for anything you have in life. Like, I'm thankful to have a house to live in, to have my family. It's just, it's crazy. So we're working through that right now. The birth mom is actually 4 centimeters dilated. She's only 31 weeks along. Baby's 2-ish pounds, 2.5, maybe 3 pounds. We're not sure exactly, but
Oh my gosh.
she's not healthy. So I mean, the birth mom is just in a tough situation, which we have so much compassion for them. It's just hard to watch, and we do everything possible we can to help. But we're just praying that the baby stays in there as long as she can. Just praying that she'll be healthy, and so we can literally get a call any second. So like I have a flight booked every morning just in case, and then I cancel it and rebook it because Brittany's mom she got married 3 weeks ago. Brittany's dad unfortunately passed away 7 years ago from leukemia. So Carol finally got remarried, and her wedding was on a Sunday, and Friday night we had like a big welcome dinner for people out of town. And so Saturday morning between 1 and 4 a.m., Brittany got like 6 or 7 missed calls from the birth mom. She was like, she told us like she's in labor. And so we got a 7 a.m. flight the day before the wedding. Brittany's the matron of honor. I'm walking Carol down the aisle. I'm a groomsman. Holyn's a flower girl. So we have to be at the wedding.
You are the whole bridal party.
And so we fly. Yeah. So exactly. So we fly out of state thinking that she's actually in labor. So they actually were able to stabilize her. She dilated to 3 centimeters, then she stopped, and she was stable for long enough to where we flew back the day of the wedding, made the wedding. Then she went back to the hospital, is 4 centimeters dilated, and that's kind of where things are at now. So we're just like thankful that because that was a couple weeks ago. So that would have been even more serious. But now that she's about 31 weeks along, that's, still over 2 months early. But I know that's common. Like I had have a niece who was born at 27 weeks. She was a pound and a half, and we saw my brother and sister-in-law go through that process, which is just insane.
Oh my gosh.
But she's so healthy now. She just turned 9.
Oh.
Yeah, 9. So it's crazy. So I know it's common, but still, you just pray for the health of the baby. But we're also excited at the same time. It's taken away a little bit of the joy as of now because we're like so stressed and like, is she going to be okay? But at the same time, you're like, I want her to be born. I'm so excited to see her and meet her. So it's kind of a weird balance right now. We're like, we don't want her to come yet, but we kind of do.
Yeah. I mean, so to fill people in a little bit on that whole journey for y'all, the family side of things. So you and Brittany adopted baby girl, little Holyn, about a year and a half ago, I think it was. And you'll be adopting her blood sister, which is the baby you're talking about, who will be Haven, which is the cutest little pairing of names ever. She's a little girl. And I guess Holyn was also preterm, I remember. And so it looks like Haven will be as well.
Yes.
But luckily enough, it seems like we've got a little more time. Thank gosh, you still got to watch Brittany's mom walk down the aisle. But it's like with all the health stuff, then the family stuff on top of that, like you have been dealing with some massive stuff. But yeah, I totally understand your excitement. Of course, you just want to get your hands on that little baby girl and cuddle her. Oh,
I know. Tiny little thing. Yeah, it's for sure been a lot, but I think, like I said, everyone goes through their own challenges in life, and some are harder than others, but you just figure it out. You just adapt to it, and then it kind of becomes normal. But then if you take a second and step back and look at it for what it is, it's like, wow, that's pretty insane. But, just honestly thankful for each day now. It's just like, who knows what this day holds, and we're thinking positively, and hopefully we'll move forward in the right direction and see where we end up.
You have like a very real and personal relationship with the blood parents at this point, because you spent so much time with them both that you actually traveled up last time to be with them during Holyn's birth. You spent a lot of time with them leading up to it. Is the process the same this time around with little baby Haven?
Yeah, it's similar. We went up there a few times during Holyn's, or when Holyn was when she was pregnant with Holyn, and that's more like getting to know them and kind of learning the process. This time's a little bit less involved, and they're the ones that actually reached out instead of the other way around, because we had an adoption agency that connected us, but this time they just reached out, which saves money first of all, and just makes it less complicated. So this time's been easier from that perspective, but then the preterm stuff is a little bit more intense than Holyn, so that has its own challenges. But the process overall is, unfortunately, adoption is just really difficult. It's a long process. It's hard in a lot of different ways, which is unfortunate because, there's 2 million people or couples on the waiting list to adopt babies. And it just shouldn't be that way because there's so many kids that need to be adopted, and for it to be so challenging, like the system is just unfortunately pretty broken. And now we understand why more kids aren't adopted, because it's tough and there's no guarantee. You know, when you put up a X amount of money, that only lasts for a certain amount of time when you're paired with an agency, and if you don't get matched and actually get a baby sounds weird, but like if it doesn't come full circle, then you lose all that money. So it's just, it shouldn't be that way. But it is what it is. And that, you know, we're doing what we can, obviously, but I understand why it's so challenging for a lot of people to do that. And I wish that it was easier, so more of these precious little children could be saved from some of the insane situations that
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's there's usually a reason why the babies are not staying with their blood parents and need a really, really awesome home with loving parents like y'all. It's usually not for no reason. But I think it's wonderful that the birth mom reached out to you guys and wanted to put Haven with Holyn, to have the sisters together. I think that's really beautiful.
I know it happened a little bit quicker because they're only going to be, like, Holyn is 19 months now, so they'll be 19 months apart. We're like, well, that's a little quicker than we expected. Holyn just started walking, so
another one's on the way.
Yeah, but then, you know, at the same time, I'm 35. I'm like, that's great to just knock it out and let's have a bunch of kids back together or back to back. I don't know. We'll see if we'll adopt more. I'm not sure. We're open to it, but I feel like 2 is going to be a lot, especially so close together, and with everything else going on, it's like one step at a time, bro.
Yeah.
But it was kind of crazy how this one worked out. So, a few months ago, before we heard from the birth mom that she was pregnant again, we were just kind of praying about it, and we were like, I kind of feel like, you know, we had the urge again to start the process, and so we were looking into fostering or adopting. We didn't know. We were just kind of like seeing what the options were and which way we were going to go. And then we watched a movie called Possum Trot. It's based on a true story. It's basically this small little town in Texas somewhere. It's called Possum Trot, Texas. It's the actual town. But it's a small church with a pastor who started to adopt these children in their town, and the whole church kind of got involved as well, and they ended up adopting 77 kids, like really difficult cases. So there were no kids left to adopt in their area. So it's just like an unbelievably moving story. And, you know, we were just crying the entire time, of course, because it's such a good movie. And regardless of if you're going through adoption or not, you should watch it, because it's just so cool to see that side of things, the challenges and the beauty of it. And we were like, man, we really want to start the process again. And the next morning, we got a call that the birth mom was pregnant. So
wow.
We were like, wow, that's pretty crazy timing, because we were just like that day probably going to start reaching out to, you know, an adoption agency and just start that process again. So we're like, wow.
Yeah, that's literally giving me chills right now.
Me too.
Well, you've obviously had Holyn for quite a while now. What's her personality like? Because obviously, you know, you'd assume Haven would have some of her characteristics.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. I think she's probably the easiest baby that exists. I mean, she's so sweet and gentle, and it's crazy. And she just started walking. It took her 1.5 years to start walking, almost 17 and a half months. My wife will correct me back there.
Listen, it's 17 and a half. It's very different.
Yeah, I say 18 months, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, on Valentine's Day, she took her first step, and we were like, are you ever going to walk? But now it's opened up a new world of, you know, chasing her around. But she's so aware. And, you know, like, she was born, given the situation and being born preterm, like you would think she's kind of maybe slow, but she's so aware, and she's just such a happy baby all the time. It's crazy. So we're just like, wow, like, given the situation and how she is, we're just like, how is this possible? She's just perfect. So healthy, never really been sick. So we're like, I hope baby number 2 is like somewhat close to this, because we're certainly spoiled.
Yeah, imagine you get a little hellion for the next one. That's usually how it goes. You have perfect, and then you have crazy.
I know my parents always said, like, just wait till you have a baby that's like you. You're gonna pay for it. And I'm like, oh boy. Well, first one got past that one.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
yeah, but she's the cutest thing in the world. I mean, like everywhere we take her, she just like people
Hmm.
stop in their chats and they're just like, oh my gosh, your daughter's beautiful. I'm like, yeah, she is. I had nothing to do
But I
with
agree.
it. But yes, she is perfect.
Oh, what a
Yeah,
cutie.
it's amazing.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to see all the pictures when the new one arrives. Hopefully, well cooked and safely.
Yes, keep
Yep.
cooking,
Hold out
sister.
as long as you can and get all those good
Yes.
good growth left. But well, before we close here, got to hear about the health and the family, which it's awesome to catch up on that. I'd love to talk about pickleball generally because although you've not been able to even take the court, you probably stay pretty updated on everything that's going on. What are your thoughts about the general direction of the game?
I think it's nothing but exciting. I mean, obviously there are little kinks that are still being worked out, but I think it's more fun to watch than it ever has. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the matches from a couple years ago, you're just like, I think I'll take a nap now. I mean, it's just the game is faster, it's more exciting, better athletes. I mean, the tournaments are full of people. It's, in my opinion, it's going nowhere but up. I mean, and like I said, as a spectator, that's even improving. Obviously, that's a big hurdle. Like, how can we make pickleball the best spectator sport that it can? Because you don't really appreciate the speed and the quickness unless you're in person. Like going to a few of those tournaments and being more in the crowd and just listening more there. Just how many times you hear people just blown away by the speed and the skill of these players. And there are people that watch on TV all the time, but they're like, I just didn't know it was like this. So I think that gap is closing with better cameras and, you know, bigger networks and all that stuff. So it's going in the right direction. And don't pass me up though.
I know.
Wait for me. Wait, let me get back out there. Come on. These little 19-year-olds that are coming out there. Stop being so good. Just stop it.
Well, I was thinking,
can we have like a 30 to 35 division and like let these young freaks play by themselves?
No, I was literally just thinking of you because with the direction that pickleball is going with the big, massive drives and the power game and the movements, like that is your game. Like your forehand drive was legendary on tour, and it's like now the game is not this endless dink rally battle. It's evolved, and it's like it's only getting closer to the game that I think you liked to play.
Yeah, I guess that's what I tell myself when I get freaked out with like getting passed up. I'm like, well, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm like pretty quick and nimble and I can hit hard. So like, at least that's like, it's still in the realm of where the game is and is going. So that's why I'm still so excited to get back out there and better paddles to just make it more spicy. So I'm like, some of these newer paddles, I'm going to get a hold of those things and rip some
do some damage. Well, we hope you will have your chance to get back out there. It's such a pleasure to see you, hear you again, catch up on your life. We miss you so much on tour. I know I speak for all the fans and all the players, and we can't wait to have you back out there someday soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I miss everyone too. And like I said, hopefully we'll keep getting more involved, whether it's commentating, being at the tournaments, doing more with pickleball, and then hopefully hitting the court one day. That'll be a crazy day, but I'm looking forward to it and staying
absolutely sending all the hugs and the prayers to you and the family. Thanks for coming on, Thomas.
Thank you so much, Anna. I appreciate it.